You know that feeling, right? It's a Tuesday morning, you get a meeting invite from your manager. No subject, no agenda. Just your name, their name, 2 p.m. And your stomach just drops because you know it's going to be one of those conversations where you have to just nod and agree with something you think is a terrible idea.
And you're going to sit there and you're going to nod. Not because you agree, but because you just checked your bank account this morning. You spend your whole day biting your tongue, pretending you have fewer opinions than you actually do. And you go home with this very specific kind of exhaustion. It's not from hard work. It's the exhaustion of self-suppression.
So what is that really? Is that a career problem? Is it, a lack of confidence? What's actually at the root of that feeling? I think we've all been there.
Well, here's the thing. It's not a personal failing. It's not about you. It's actually a math problem. And you know what the good news is about math problems? There's always a specific number that solves them.
So today, we're going to talk about that exact number. We're going to talk about why $3,000 a month in passive income, not $1 million, not some crazy early retirement fantasy, but that specific figure is what changes absolutely everything. Now, the most important thing to get here is that $3,000, it isn't a luxury number. It's a floor number. It's based on something called the Alice Household Survival Budget. It's a real thing. It calculates the bare bones minimum to just exist in America. Housing, food, healthcare, transportation. It's the amount that means no matter what happens, the lights stay on. But the reality is, most people are nowhere near that floor. I mean, look at these numbers from the Federal Reserve. Almost 40% of adults can't even cover a tiny $400 emergency. And for the small number of people who even have passive income, the median is just $350 a month. So getting to $3,000, it's not just a step up, it's like entering a completely different universe financially. To really get the impact of this, let's make it personal. We're going to follow the stories of two people, Alex and Marcus, and see how this one number can create two totally different lives.
So meet Alex and Marcus. They're the same age, live in the same city. They even have the same $72,000 a year job as a project manager. On the surface, they're identical. But there is one single crucial difference. Alex has zero passive income. Marcus, on the other hand, after about 8 years of really focused effort, brings in $3,100 a month, whether he shows up to work or not. Same job, same salary, totally different lives.
And when I say different, I don't just mean what they can buy. I mean different in how their actual brains function every single day. The difference is literally neurological. This is where it gets really fascinating. A huge study in the journal Science found something just incredible. Financial scarcity, just the stress of it, uses up so much mental energy that it measurably lowers your cognitive function. By how much? By the equivalent of 13 IQ points. They tested sugarcane farmers before harvest when they were broke, and then after harvest when they'd been paid. Same people, totally different scores. Financial stress doesn't just reveal your limitations, it actually creates them.
And it gets worse. That constant financial strain pumps your body full of cortisol, the main stress hormone. And here's the really cruel twist. All that cortisol actually makes you more afraid of taking risks. So the very stress caused by your situation biologically wires you to avoid the exact risks you need to take to escape it. It's a trap that literally locks itself from the inside.
So the bottom line is, having that financial floor, that $3,000 a month, it doesn't just change your bank account, it transforms every single part of your life. So let's look at 5 key areas, and we'll see it through the eyes of Alex and Marcus.
Okay, first up, career. Alex hasn't asked for a raise in 2 years because he's terrified of rocking the boat. Marcus? He asked for a raise last quarter and got 11%. It's not because Marcus is inherently braver. It's because for him, the worst-case scenario is just an inconvenience. For Alex, it's a potential catastrophe. Research backs this up too. People with a financial floor are almost twice as likely to start a business. That floor doesn't make you lazy, it makes you bold.
All right, now let's talk about investing and use one of the most stressful financial moments any of us can remember. Let's go back to March 2020. The world felt like it was ending, and the stock market just fell off a cliff, dropping over 30% in just a few weeks.
Okay, so Alex's hours get cut. He panics. He needs cash, so he sells $6,000 of stock right near the very bottom, locking in a massive loss. Now Marcus, his $3,100 in passive income just kept rolling in, totally unaffected by the chaos. He didn't see a crisis, he saw a sale, and he calmly bought an extra $4,000 worth of stock at a huge discount. That one single decision, a decision that was forced on Alex because he didn't have a floor, came with a huge price tag.
That $6,000 he sold, it would be worth around $18,000 today. That's a $12,000 loss in future wealth that just, poof, vanished. All because of one moment of crisis that Marcus just sailed right through.
Okay, so right about now, you're probably thinking, great, this all sounds amazing, but how do you actually build this thing, right? Because the common advice that you need like $1 million in a dividend portfolio, it's demoralizing. That's not how Marcus did it, and it's not the only way.
Marcus used what you'd call a hybrid approach, and he did it over 8 years. He consistently invested in dividend ETFs, which are just big baskets of stocks that pay you regularly. He saved up and bought 2 small rental properties. He also invested in REITs, which are kind of like mutual funds for big real estate projects. And, this is the really key part, he spent about 6 months building a small digital course related to his day job. It wasn't one giant leap. It was 4 different streams, built patiently, brick by brick.
And just look at this breakdown. This is so important. A huge chunk of his income, more than a third of it, comes from that digital product. And what did that cost him? It cost him time, not hundreds of thousands of dollars. This is what makes the whole goal so much more achievable. It's not about having $1 million to get started. It's about building multiple, smaller streams that add up.
And here's where the magic really happens. Because Marcus isn't scrambling to use this income to survive, every single dollar can get reinvested. The dividends buy more shares, which pay more dividends. The rental income pays down the mortgages faster. It's like what the legendary investor Charlie Munger said. The first rule of compounding is to never interrupt it. And that financial floor, it's the ultimate protector of your compounding machine.
This all leads to a really surprising truth. Most people think the whole point of passive income is to stop working, to quit the job, move to a beach, and just check out. But the actual data, it tells a completely different story.
I mean, look at the data from real-world basic income experiments. When people are given a financial floor, they don't stop working. They start working better. In Stockton, California, people who got the basic income found full-time jobs at double the rate of everyone else. In Namibia, entrepreneurship exploded by over 300%. It turns out, security doesn't make people complacent. It unleashes their potential.
And that right there is the real prize. The investor Morgan Housel has this great line where he says the highest dividend money pays isn't the interest or the capital gains, it's controlling your own time. It's getting your Tuesdays back. It's being able to make decisions based on what's right for you, not just what's financially safe.
There's this great story about the author Joseph Heller. He was at a party at some billionaire's mansion, and a friend pointed out that the host had made more money in one single day than Heller had made from his famous novel Catch-22 in its entire history. And Heller's response was just perfect. He said, "Yes, but I have something he will never have. Enough."
And that's really what this $3,000 number is all about. It's not about becoming a billionaire. It's about reaching enough. It's about getting to that point where the existential financial threat is gone, and you finally get to start being a full person again. So the final question is for you. Are you going to start building your floor? Or are you just going to keep hoping that someone else raises the ceiling for you? Because at the end of the day, you can only control one of those things.